Hello, everybody. Welcome to GC365. We are on day 160. I'm Pastor Haylee, the high school pastor at the Mill Creek campus, and
I'm Cameron Albright, and I am a senior at Jackson High School.
Yes, and we just had senior night, and so we celebrated all of the seniors that have been coming to Encounter or just Gold Creek with their families and highlighted what they're going off to. So you want to tell us, what are your plans for the fall?
I'm actually going to be attending the University of Washington, and I'm going to be studying mechanical engineering there. So it'll be a big task.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's way
I'm a
smarter.
little nervous.
You'll do great. So great.
Thank
and you're close. So you can still come back and help in the media team.
Of course. Yes.
That's always what we look forward to.
Right.
But I don't even know if they can see it off camera, but I want to address it because you're still like going through something at school right now that's a little bit like stressful for you, and you have to carry around this Nerf gun. Do you want to show the crowd what we have here? It's pretty heavy duty, but I just had like the little ones in high school. But why do you have that with us today?
I'm in the middle of a big Nerf war with my school, and so I need to keep myself safe while I'm going out to my car after this.
Yeah. So that's pretty exciting. I was kind of hoping there would be some action going on today, but you're safe here at the church. So that's all right. We'll get through the Bible reading safely. All right. And we'll just hope he makes it out to his car. But we have kind of some brief reading today. It wasn't a ton. And we are going to start right in with 1 Kings chapter 7. It's the only, besides Psalms and Proverbs, but it's the only Old Testament like reading that we started off with today. And so what's going on here is Solomon is building his palace now, and then we'll go in and talk about at the end how he's also continuing to build the temple. But what we need to know, just a fun fact, if you haven't done the reading yet, is that it took Solomon 13 years to finish his palace, which that's a long time. But what did you get out of this? What stood out to you, if anything? Because it's kind of hard when it's all about just the measurements and different things like that.
Yeah, although it was about like all the building and stuff like that, I think it was really cool to see like all the little details that they included in the temple. I think that it was interesting to see all the gold and bronze elements that they added in addition to like the main structure of the buildings, just to worship God and show that they love him and appreciate him.
Yeah. Another thing I love about doing these is that you get to hear what other people got out of readings that you didn't necessarily get out. And I thought that was a really cool thing to notice. And what I wrote down is that there was so much attention to detail, and I was like kind of overwhelmed by all of it. I mean, like, okay, what do I focus on? And so then for you to bring that up, I think that was amazing that they honored the place of worship. And it just shows us that it's so important for even the smallest details. We kind of glance over these readings. I mean, I'm here admitting that I do, but that we can go back and read those and be like, you know what? They honored God, even just with their buildings, their palaces, and their temples. So I think that's really cool. We will jump right in to Acts 7, verses 30 through 50. And so I kind of want to talk about who's speaking here, because we are in the middle of a chapter. In fact, we aren't even finished with this chapter. It's pretty long. But the man that's speaking here is Stephen, and he has just been arrested, and now he's before the high council talking about all of these things that God has done in the past. And so you had a few things that stood out to you, or maybe even a question or two. So why don't you share with us first, Cameron, what you got out of this reading?
Well, the first thing that stood out to me was who God called on in this account. And he called on someone that society disapproved of. They didn't really agree with what Moses was doing, and God called on Moses to go and lead the Egyptians. And so I think it's a cool pattern that we see throughout the Bible of God calling on those who are in their low place and bringing them out of that low place.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and we just talked about this at Encounter, about the people that Jesus and God calls on aren't the high priests all the time, aren't these high rulers, that they can just be, at that time, were tax collectors, fishermen, and people that kind of were on the bottom of the social totem pole for that means. And you know what? They made huge impacts. And so I know following that, you kind of had a question I believe, or I don't. Tell us your question.
Yeah. So at the end of this little segment, they talk about temples and just kind of the significance of temples in the society and that kind of thing. And I was just curious, what does that hold? What significance?
Yeah. So let's actually read that. And we're going to read 44 through 50 in this, again, Acts chapter 7. And it's saying, our ancestors carried the tabernacle with them through the wilderness. It was constructed according to the plan God had shown to Moses. Years later, when Joshua led our ancestors in battle against the nations that God drove out of this land, the tabernacle was taken with them into their new territory, and it stayed there until the time of King David. David found favor with God and asked for the privilege of building a permanent temple for the God of Jacob. But it was Solomon who actually built it, which is what we just read about. So that's so great that they connected there. And then it continues on and says, however, the Most High doesn't live in temples, Most High talking about God, made by human hands, as the prophet says. Heaven is my throne, the earth is my footstool. Could you build me a temple as good as that? Asks the Lord. Could you build me such a resting place? Didn't my hands make both heaven and earth? And so with that, what Stephen is talking about here and what he's kind of addressing the accusations made against him. In the chapter prior to this, the accusations were that he was speaking against the temple, and they did not appreciate that. And they thought, how could you be a follower of Jesus and speak against something that has been so valued? And so he's addressing all of the things that happened in the Old Testament. Yes, the temple was very important. It still is. However, God's not confined to a house. He's not confined to this building of the church. He lives inside of the people that choose to follow him. And that made me question, what does it look like for God to live inside of you? I think for all of us, it's a little bit different. For me personally, what it looks like, God living inside of me every day, my actions show it, not just my words. And I would hope that people know I follow God just by the way that I live my life, not because I say that I follow God. And so I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that. Maybe what are some other ways that it looks like to have God in your life? Is there anything else?
Well, I think you made a good point with just how you live your life. There's a song that I used to sing when I was younger with my family. It was, and one of the lines is, they know we are Christians by our love. And I think that's
huge.
A big thing in my life still today. Just showing love to other people. That can be one of the biggest things in showing that you're a Christian.
That's really cool. And that it's stuck with you. And so kind of think of it this way, we can get maybe bored by the idea of talking about the temple. Okay, what is the significance? But now our bodies are the temple for God. So that's a wonderful way to look at it. And thank you for sharing that. I was wondering if you were going to sing it. I was kind of hoping you would. Maybe next time. And the sequel.
Oh, with sequel. We're doing this again. All right.
So now we'll end with our Psalms and Proverbs. Psalms 128. This Psalm specifically, when I was reading my study Bible, it kind of gives this title to it. And it says that this is actually a marriage prayer that the Israelites would sing at their weddings. And we got the same thing out of it. So I'm going to let you share the main idea of this Psalms.
Okay. Well, what I got from this was that anyone who has God as their foundation in their relationship is bound to be successful and do well. And so I think that it just shows that it's really important to be with someone who loves God as much as you do and will push you to be better, and you can push them to be better as well.
Yeah. And then my favorite, it's not really my favorite, but I just liked this Proverbs 16:31 through 33. And I feel like we just have to at least read verses 31. Gray hair is a crown of glory. It is gained by living a godly life. Now, it does go on, but I just thought that was hilarious. So if you got gray hair, own it. I mean, clearly, it's a crown. So did you have any questions about this? Did it make sense to you?
At first, it didn't make sense to me, but after looking at a little bit of the history of that phrase, how the Hebrews valued old age because it was just a sign that God appreciated you and loved what you did, and so he kind of blessed you with a long life. I think it makes a lot more sense now that I understand that.
Yeah, definitely. And at the end of this, what we looked that up together, figuring it out. At the end of the little passage we read, it said, so young people, respect your elder people. And so I think it's always a great lesson to learn. And so if you're somebody young that is watching this with us, just let's take that away today. Let's not make fun of the gray hairs because they got experience. All right. So we just want to thank you for taking the time to go through this day with us. You are doing so great. The fact that you're on day 161. Cameron, thank you for joining us.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Good luck on your Nerf War Assassin. I don't know what you call it, but good luck to you on that.
Thank you.
And we will see you guys on Sunday.